Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard. And across from me is the doctor himself.
Hello.
I mean, my name is producer Sickchard. And
I'm the doctor.
I can see you figure out what I'm trying to do, then think about how you could change, and then you just completely...
If you're listening to this, you're alone on Halloween.
This is the Dr. PC, because we're living in a climate that's very terrifying.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry, are you scared of PC culture? Is that what we're saying?
I don't know.
Yeah, this is our Halloween special. If I've done my math correctly, this is special number 10.
Whoa, it's number 10 and wow. I mean, I wish it was number 13. That'd be really scary. But.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't. Maybe we should have gone back in time and done more specials.
Let's do 2 right now.
And then put them back in the feed as if they were there the whole time.
No.
That would be spooky. Yeah. Look, this one's be like, I never saw this before.
Hey, why did they do an episode on soda streams and pakoras?
Subscribe to our Patreon.
The top-notch quality content that's in there with, I don't know, I like pakoras. Jesus. Indian food's cool.
Jesus Christ. This is our Halloween special episode. I was trying to think of what I initially wanted to do for this was have us read Deceased.
Oh.
But the final issue hasn't come out yet. At the time of recording, it comes out later this week, and this week is super busy.
Yeah.
Between life and actual Halloween and things like that.
Yeah, it can be challenging.
So we didn't get that one done. Like, we couldn't get that one done for this. So I changed tracks. I was like, instead of just going out and out, zombie story like Deceased, I was like, what's something that maybe has more of a gothic look to it? Mm-hmm. And so I decided we should go back to Mike Barron and Kelly Jones' work on Deadman, and specifically the 2-issue Deadman Exorcism story.
Yeah.
I thought that would be a good sort of spooky Halloween book to read. You read it this morning.
Yeah.
As did I. Reread it this morning. Mm-hmm. Very broad. First of all, what did you think? We've talked about Deadman before.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start there. We've talked about this character before, right? Boston Brand, and he can possess. He's a ghost that can possess the souls of the living. And he sort of answers to the Hindu god of karma, Ramakrishna.
Yeah, it's random,
but I don't know that we've really read Deadman stories before.
No. We haven't really talked about Deadman that much either.
Yeah.
I think maybe he's come up in some sort of related themed episodes, but otherwise, not in any great detail. So it's a character that I knew of, but didn't really know that much of sort of the look. It's not a character that you see that much coming up in sort of popular culture and media. So it was definitely... a learning sort of about this character and trying to figure out what their whole deal was.
Right.
As I was reading, they do a decent job of sort of like getting you up to sort of what this character's deal is.
Yeah. Because this 2-issue story sort of follows up on a previous Deadman story, I think called Love and Death.
I
might have that title wrong, but. Also by Mike Barron and Kelly Jones.
Yeah, and it's also sort of playing on like, yeah, this character's been around for a while. This character, this is sort of how they became Deadman. This is they spent a lot of time trying to get revenge on the people that did this to them. And this is them sort of like, then they spent a bunch of time being a good person. That's them just trying to figure out what to do next because they've been around for so long and just kind of are exhausted of being a good person. And so you see this sort of like, this is the sort of like rebellion, like poltergeisty version of.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into sort of a synopsis of it, but essentially what this story does is Deadman is sort of the villain of this story.
Yeah.
And it does lean into a bunch of sort of classic horror trope kind of things. But yeah, I mean, in previous things, Deadman had what they set up is that he had fallen in love, and then this other person left him, and things like that. And now he's sort of secluded. He's just kind of haunting this church, this abandoned church in, like, I think it's Vermont, where we pick up with him in this story. But he sort of abandoned the hero life. He's just literally haunting a church.
Question.
Yeah.
Because I didn't look up anything about this book, and because it's digital, I'm not really reading it. There's no ads or things like that.
Right.
Did this come out like early 90s?
Yeah, roughly that era.
It seems like it.
Kelly Jones is also, I mean, very famous for work on Deadman, but also extremely famous for that 90s Batman, especially right around Nightfall, stuff like that. Like that.
This
you can see the same art style there.
This feels very early 90s. With one, I mean, you get that sort of DC ripping off our logo, you know, imprint on the top. Them. Yeah, fuck those guys.
What do we owe them?
So you're getting that. So that was my first sort of key. But I mean, the bigger thing is the language in this and the art style. Very late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. The sort of initial sort of like the covers for the sort of the one-offs are they're very sort of like almost like 90s zines, like sort of like grungy sort of punk zines.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there's a lot of that sort of like straight line, spiky hair, like you would see in Sandman or something like that too. Yeah. You know, like we meet some punk rockers or heavy metal rockers at some point in this story, and they all kind of have a very
grungy look to them. You're also getting that sort of like 90s art style of like every muscle has a muscle on a muscle.
Well, especially Kelly Jones does this a lot. You know, yeah. Very, it's hyperbole. Like there's literally too many muscles.
Yeah, well, he's got like an 8-pack inside of his rib cage, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I do like it because it sort of makes it feel more horror-y. And when we get to the more monstery stuff in this book, I think it really pays off. It makes more sense. This art style always made more sense to me on Deadman than on Batman.
Oh,
or on, you know, or other characters like that, Bane or stuff like that.
Well, it's a gothic art style that like you're then trying to attribute to other books rather than taking a gothic book and keeping it gothic, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of like melting candles and skeletons and like body horror in this that it definitely is within that. So, but yeah, it feels very sort of like early 90s, especially. So going into it, I would say that this isn't like an art style that I particularly love, but I do like some of the sort of graphic design, like coming into the book, the introductory page, the quote from "We live in a world of ghosts" from Henry Miller. Say what you will about Henry Miller, but I liked some of it. Like it definitely felt like inspired. I'm assuming that she's also very inspired by sort of like the 90s art scene that was going on there. I mean, I could go into.
I'm gonna confirm. I actually think Kelly Jones is a man.
Is it? Okay, I don't know. With a name like Kelly, you never know.
I'm just realizing now that I don't know. Not that it's important, but.
Yeah, to decide how I feel based on
do I like this or not?
I really enjoy this. It's a woman. Well, because she's a woman.
Let's have a little look here. Yep. Guy.
Yep. Yeah, I guess the EY Kelly tends to be a guy.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean... And just, again, reminder, if you like the 90s and you like Sandman and Batman, that's also Kelly Jones. So if we're talking about things looking like an era, it's because Kelly Jones was so prolific. Right?
Yeah.
Sort of everywhere. But why don't we get into it? We've already established Deadman is here in Vermont. Let's get into the story here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's great because I mean they do that thing. I'm Barry Allen and my parents were killed. Sort of like introduction.
I'm the deadest man on earth. Dead.
So and it's funny because every time I see these introductory where it's like, yo, just like if this is the first time you're picking up his book, like BT dubs. This is what happened. So I always like that they do that because it's very sort of like letting people in, very inclusionary sort of stuff, which I enjoy. But it also makes me go like, oh yeah, that really works for the TV like sort of like introduction.
Totally.
But yeah, so they give you sort of like this is who Deadman was before they got shot by these guys, and Ramakrishna turned him into a dead man.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Acrobat, shot, killed. God of Karma sends him back to possess the souls, to possess the bodies of the living, to redress the cosmic balance between good and evil. Basically. Yes.
And you get sort of the understanding that it's like that Deadman spent a bunch of time trying to like get revenge, and then then tried to become a good guy, and then now is sort of like
fell in love, and now he's sort of hurt by being scorned, and he's like we said, he's sort of forsaken the heroing. He's literally just haunting a church in Vermont, which is then where we shift perspective to just this couple driving at night.
It's very Rocky Horror sort of intro, which is funny because then they make reference to that.
They even say like, oh, Rocky Horror Picture Show, because they pull up to this abandoned place in a rainstorm.
Yeah. They really play into that, which is fun, and it's very much just like very like Janet and like it's very much that couple.
And, I mean, slightly unlike the start of Rocky Horror, this couple is already horny. Like, they are all over each other. He's like, maybe we can figure out, we might have to sleep in the car. And she's like, I don't want to do that. And he's like, I don't know. I kind of like when we're in the car together. Yeah. And then they go into this church and they're just like groping each other, making out like while they're just in this church.
What I love about the art style that they did with this is they play a lot with the sort of like golden age comic book style of the sort of the what you might know as like the sort of pixelated like circles.
Yeah.
So basically, and what they do is they utilize
pointillism.
Yes. Well, it's not even actually pointillism though, but I can't remember.
Well, I was trying. I stopped taking art after grade 8. So.
No, and I don't know enough about it. I need to read more about it. But basically, the way that they used to print books is why the colors are all just little dots.
Yeah.
But it wasn't intentionally colored that way. But that's the way that the printers were able to sort of print them.
Right.
But now they take that style and they sort of blend it. And anytime people are doing sort of like lewd acts, it starts blending into that style.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's sort of their approach to nighttime. It feels like, right? Like,
no, you can see it like if you look at this, it's anytime that they're doing anything that's sort of like sex and things like that. I can't remember what the term is, but you can see they start breaking into it here when they're kissing. You can see it here where they're kissing. They start breaking into that style specifically, but then they're not doing it when they're like walking into the things. They're not. They use it as a way to sort of like talk about doing bad things. As he's like, so they'll do it a little bit with darkness, but it's not the same. It's like
So I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's an interesting sort of style.
So this couple is in this church, and they start getting down, and then all of a sudden, the woman just starts like berating the dude.
Yeah. She goes away to go look for a bathroom, and suddenly she comes back and she's just like, "Hey, you fucking prick! Like, you want to see my tits?" Like,
well, she also said like, I think the first thing she says is, "Do you know how many guys I've balled before we got together?" Which is very 90s term.
Yeah, I was just like, what does that even mean?
It's very Tenacious D.
Yeah. Or like Kevin Smith.
Yeah. And then she said, "Do you think you would have got that promotion if I didn't fuck your boss?" Like,
yes.
She's like a lot of stuff like that. The guy's like, why are you saying this?
Yeah. And then she's just like, "Come on, pussy." And he runs away.
Yeah.
Which I thought was super funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what my reaction would be. I don't know that I would run away quite as quickly.
And I was like, didn't you guys like, it feels like you really bailed pretty quickly on her. It feels very like 1950s, like possession story or something.
Yeah, really. Excuse me. She's doing all this while she's like stripping and stuff like that. And then when he leaves, then you hear like Deadman kind of laugh and leave her body. And now she's just like naked outside in the cold and like you already, like something's wrong with Deadman, because like this is like a gross violation of possession of like a body. This is not heroic work. He's doing it seemingly for no reason, and just to leave her out in the cold like that, like something is wrong with Deadman.
Yeah, he's just like, teach the bastard for trying to sneak up on me.
Yeah, like he's got like kind of crazy hermit vibes.
Yeah, absolutely. So the guy goes back. Carl goes to the city.
Carl? I thought his name was something else.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Carl.
I thought his name was like Hugh or something.
No, it's Carl.
Huh.
That's what they're saying in this.
Oh no. That's a. Oh right. Okay. I think I'm confusing characters.
Yeah, that's from book 2. Is Hugh.
There's a different Hugh. He's the one that.
That's in book 2.
Right. Different Hugh. Yeah.
So yeah, Carl runs to the city and goes to the police station as like, my wife. Oh, she was mean to me.
Yeah. The cops are like, all right, sir.
Yeah. Like, I can grow a pair. Like.
In very 90s cop fashion, they're like, wait, what's your problem? They're like,
no, as this book would say, you fucking retard, don't be such a faggot, get back to the...
This book throws a lot of that shit out there.
It's rough.
And I know artistically why they're doing it, but
it's not good enough of
it's not a good enough justification. There's a lot of that shit in this book. Yeah.
But yeah, so they go back to the church and suddenly the lady is totally fine. She's like, why did you leave me? I was so frightened.
Yeah, and she's like, I blacked out. I don't know what's happened. I don't know why I'm outside here.
And this is sort of like our introductory scene into the Deadman book. Basically, we leave this couple, but now you're just going like, wow, Deadman's a dick now.
Yes. Yeah.
He's being real shitty. And now we get introduced to Hugh.
Oh, right.
So we go to Boston. And there's a therapist basically talking with this guy Hugh, being like, he's like, I keep blacking out basically and having these things happen to me, and like I'm worried that like maybe I'm a serial killer or something. And she's just like, I can have people follow you, and he's like, I don't want you to find out if I'm actually a serial killer then, if that's actually what's happening.
Yeah,
which I think is really funny.
Yeah, he's losing lots of time, and I think he maybe says something about blood on his hands and stuff like that, like when he comes to. And he keeps waking up like out of town with tattered clothes and that. And he said, my wife thinks I'm making it up to avoid talking about our marriage. Like things are not going great for Hugh.
I also love that this therapist has a mug that says, don't ask me, I'm nuts.
Yeah, which seems insensitive. Though very 90s.
Yes, super 90s. Yeah, he says, yeah, with bloody hands scraped and bloody. She thinks I staged this.
Yeah, and this therapist mentions something about like gay bashings or whatever that are happening, and the guy's like, I wouldn't do that, and she's like, well, you don't know what you're doing. You know, maybe it's multiple personality. Like, who knows, right?
Exactly. So she's just like, I think I have somebody that you could talk to.
Yeah.
And that's when we learn about Madam what is it?
Waxahachie? Right. I don't know how you're really supposed to pronounce it, but she is a character that showed up in that previous Deadman story from Mike Barron and Kelly Jones.
I fucking love this lady.
She is one of my favorite characters. I wish she was back in main continuity.
Yeah.
I want more of her. Yeah.
She's awesome.
She's badass as hell.
It's like sort of like a voodoo, like.
Yeah, she's basically like a voodoo lady, but sort of like mid to low tier. She's not like a Madame Xanadu or something. No,
she's got like a vague connection. She's more like my guess is that like half her business is probably like just like fake ratings and like playing into it, and then but then she actually has a little bit of a connection to it.
Yeah, and in the previous story, she helps Deadman stop the kidnapping of these girls who are being possessed by other spirits and stuff like that. But so Madame Waxahachie comes back in and says she's going to hypnotize Hugh to try and figure out what's happening. And when she does,
she sees Deadman.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh, like I know that guy.
Yeah.
But he's being crazy.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're Deadman. Like, why are you in this guy's like body? Like, get out of here. And then he freaks out on her.
Yeah. He just says like, shut up, or like, get out of here, or something like that. Like they're sort of communing through Hugh a little bit here.
Yeah. And so she gets knocked out basically. And she's just like, you're possessed by an old friend of mine. It's just like, she's like, there's matters beyond your control. We need to go obviously to Vermont.
Yeah.
And so I don't really get where the connect, because I'm like, if he's inside of him, does his body have to like stay somewhere? Like, I don't know how that works.
Well, but I think she's tapping into when he was possessed.
Oh, so she needs to go to the place where it happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Deadman we're implying here, Deadman has been possessing this guy. That's why he's missing all of this time.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to go to this church basically to figure it out.
So they drive into the woods and they're getting near this church. And this is the part I fucking hate the heavy metal dudes. Like I hate the way that
they get lost and they find these 3 heavy metal a woman and 2 men just jamming in the
middle of the woods,
as you do.
But it's like this like huge muscly guy just shooting guns into the air.
Yeah.
Like them playing metal music and then this like loose woman in the middle just like
they're just
leather.
missing like the black light paint and they could be right out of the Schumacher
just,
Batman.
Like, come on. Like it's such like these people are obviously like miscreants because they listen to heavy metal music and it's just
the whole point is that they're actually not.
Yeah.
They're very helpful.
Yeah.
They give some directions and then they move on. We're not done with these characters. We'll come back to them, but for now,
I just love like they're playing like heavy metal music, but the way that it's like it comes off like in text is just like there's a hellhound on my tail, da 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 dee dum dum.
Yeah, I know it doesn't sound like, because you never hear someone in heavy metal just go dum da dee dum 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 da dee dum. Like so, yeah, or
the like. There's no way to like make metal.
It's true.
It's very funny. So they're like, oh, I don't know if we should talk to these people. We need to find this church. And then so the lady's just like, I'll do it. Don't worry.
Yeah. Badass Madam Waxahachie.
Yeah. So she goes up and they're just like, what church? A line I don't like is they look at the large black lady and they say, Aunt Jemima, where's the pancakes?
Again, a lot of racism and sexism and bigotry in this book.
It's like, that line didn't need to be there. We don't need to play into that.
Yeah, a lot of it is super unnecessary. I mean, all of it is super unnecessary. Other than one particular sort of brand of bigotry, which is story related, that we will get to.
Mm-hmm. So they give her directions, sort of. The
directions are basically like keep going through the woods.
Yeah. And that's when we start seeing like Deadman sitting on top of the church.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I don't get. I'm like, is he inside of him? How's he both places at the same time?
He's a ghost. He can move in and out. He can do whatever he wants.
But he like goes into that guy, but he also like hangs out at this church at the same time.
He's not currently in that guy.
No, I guess not. But he just
because if he was in that guy, he would be that guy.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Like I think that connection is just that he had been in there. That's what she was like connecting to. Deadman is not in him at that moment.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So they get to the church, and they start looking around, and Deadman's very much just like, oh god, this lady like traced me all the way here. Like this sucks. Like,
yeah.
And
she talks about how she can not sense him as well as she could before. Not everyone can see Deadman.
Yeah,
she can because she has some sort of voodoo magic.
Yeah,
but she said you're more ghost-like. Like you, like again, it's this. We always come back to this. It's like you've lost your tether a little bit.
Yeah,
yeah.
So they, Madam Waxahachie or whatever, she tries to help Hugh by like giving him like sort of like a magic pouch thing to kind of protect him.
Yeah.
But as she's trying to put it on there, so the Deadman like goes inside of a hawk or something and steals the thing before she could put it on him.
Yep.
He's clearly like trying to fuck with them. We go back to the punk dudes, the metal dudes.
Right.
God, this page is brutal. They're like the big muscly dude is just like, that bitch was really fine, man. And then the leather lady goes, ice, ice, baby.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, because they just need to remind us that these people are in the woods because of what's about to happen.
Yes.
Deadman wants to get them out of his church and out of his life. And he is really in a fucking with them mode.
So he goes back inside of Hugh, and Hugh runs into the woods.
Yeah, and then just starts like
mooning
flipping
them?
the bird and mooning these heavy metal people, which is obviously the gravest affront.
Yes.
And then he runs Hugh into the woods and up a tree, and then leaves his body. So now Hugh is just woken up in a tree, being like having his life threatened by these heavy metal people.
And we go back, and Madame Waxahachie is looking around the church to try to figure out like where like he is hiding at.
Yeah.
And she finds like a hinge in the floor, lifts up the floorboards, and suddenly three ghosts come out, and Deadman's just like, oh shit, like why did you do that?
Yeah. She releases these three spirits. One is this bigoted reverend that used to run the church, sort of like Salem witch trial days. One is an Iroquois chief.
Yep.
And one is a very, very lost Roman centurion.
Yes. Extremely lost.
Yeah.
So they, and then we go back, and they get, I think they knock Hugh down or something off the tree.
Or he falls. I can't remember exactly, but he breaks his neck and dies.
Yeah. Which is insane. I like the metal dudes are like, well, he's dead, whatever. Let's look through his wallet.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
But the ghosts then go inside the punk people, the metal people.
The Roman centurion goes in the lady punker.
Yeah.
The Iroquois chief goes in the big guy.
Yeah.
And then the reverend goes in the other guy.
Yeah. And now it's interesting because the way that their text bubbles are written are kind of like different. Like the Reverend is very like sort of like scripture written. The natives guy has got this weird sort of like red outline on his thing, which I don't know if I'm okay with that, but it feels suspect.
I think it's meant to look like war paint, but yes.
Yeah. And then the other dude has, the Roman centurion has this sort of like, very like rigid sort of, roughly drawn outlines.
Yeah.
And
when Deadman is inside people, the speech bubbles change too. You get slightly different font, slightly different sort of outline of the bubbles and things like that.
Which is nice. It's a thing that you don't really see in a lot of books.
Just a little clue as to who's really talking.
Which is nice. Yeah. I actually kind of like that. And Deadman goes inside of the therapist lady.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of but you know what's really interesting is that like I thought like Deadman's whole ability is that he can go inside people, but then these like other ghosts just go inside people too.
Well, but it's all tied to him. Is as we go through this story.
So this is where I start losing a little bit of grip of what's going on.
Okay.
Because
Deadman has a brief, I think we've already seen it, a brief moment of like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah.
Or has he not seen Hugh yet?
I don't think he's seen Hugh yet. Because
he doesn't know that he left a guy to fall and die.
Yeah. You do get some like fucked up things that start being said there. This is really when you start getting like, Deadman said some really awful shit inside of the therapist.
Yeah. Deadman is not just. This isn't like what we talked about yesterday in the Kingdom Come episode, where Superman is like just kind of sad and loses his way. Like Deadman is crazy. He's like off.
Well, and he's just saying like really bigoted,
very racist, very horrible.
Yeah, some really, really. Yeah, you hear all the bad words in this.
A lot of. Yeah.
It was tough reading this morning.
I
think that's why I started just kind of skipping through some of this because I'm like, ugh.
It's not great.
But basically they decide, oh God, it's just every panel I look at it says something even worse.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what do they decide they're going to do now?
That they have to, they've got to track down these spirits because Madame Waxahachie released them, right?
Yeah, but where are they going? That's the only thing I didn't really understand.
I thought they were going out to find them.
No, they're all together now. Like Madame Waxahachie is already with all of the other spirits. Like it happens right away. They get inside him and then they all meet together.
Oh, right.
This is where it got a little bit confusing for me.
Well, I don't know what page you're looking at, but let's have a look here.
So you can see it happens pretty much right away. Like they go inside of these spirits. He goes inside of the therapist lady.
Yeah. So basically,
and they all meet up.
They are coming for revenge on Deadman, who had been imprisoning them. Because they got released, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, we got to get that sumbitch.
Yeah, they're like, the one we seek is gone.
Which is why they come back to the church. And
then they grab the therapist lady, and they're just like, but I think he's already out of her at that point.
Yes, Deadman has sort of fled again.
And so they're just, it looks like they're just kind of looking for him. Oh, and then he finds Hugh.
Realizes that he's dead, says, oh my God, what have I done? It's a brief moment of him seeming like a normal dead man.
And then he goes inside of Hugh.
Yeah, which is, his ability is to possess the living, but he says like the brain is dead, but the cells are still kind of alive. This body's kind of warm. Like this is not normal dead man territory, but he's like, I'm going to walk this corpse back.
Yeah, it's
Let's
weird.
do it.
And now all of these metal dudes are now like in the garb of the people that are inside of them, which is weird. And then they just sort of like start fighting out of nowhere with the priest guy starts fighting with Madame Waxahachie.
Well, because he's a super racist. He
calls her a witch
from the Salem sort of era. He's like, you're voodoo, you're black.
That voodoo, that judo.
That's 3 strikes.
Yeah.
The way you are, the color you are, and the fact that you do magic. So, like he's going after her.
And they're going inside
squabbling amongst each other too a little bit because he's this one reverend spirit has clearly been racist against this Iroquois spirit and stuff like that for however long they've all been trapped in there together. But yeah, so it's kind of starts this brawl.
And they start going inside of this dungeon inside of this church.
Which is where they were released from.
Yeah, they go back into it.
They're going back in because I think their idea is that they're gonna open up the gateway or something to more spirits.
I think something like that.
But basically, we're in this brawl. I don't know if I've got the right sort of page or if I'm skipping ahead a little bit. But Phantom Stranger does show up.
I think at sort of in the middle of this. Yeah, no, that's in the next book.
Doesn't he show up at the end of this first one? No.
He's just like that's you get to see him just.
The Reverend's about to like strike at I think Madame Waxahachie or something, and Phantom Stranger shows up and says hold, and then we're done this first issue. So where are we so far? Deadman is crazy. 3 spirits have possessed normal people, and they are out for revenge. Madame Waxahachie is there, and the Phantom Stranger has now shown up, which is pretty crazy stuff altogether.
Yeah, let me see if I can go all the way back to the second.
You love Comixology.
So it's so good. At least it's shitty enough that you want physical books still.
Yeah, maybe that's the idea.
Yeah. We don't make it too good.
Yeah.
Anybody will buy the actual books. Just frustrating enough that it's really the last option. Yeah, isn't that the saying of the Dr. DC podcast?
Just frustrating.
All right.
Issue number 2.
Yeah. So you first, what I love is you get another one, sort of those zine covers, but you get a H.P. Lovecraft phrase in there.
Yep.
A terrible person that H.P. Lovecraft is. So they just really love taking terrible people and having their quotes at the beginning of these books.
Yay!
So now you open on Deadman's looking insane over top of the church. We're getting we're just redubbing sort of what had already happened.
Another sort of recap just to get us to where
what happened in the previous book. Give you a little bit more detail.
Last time on Deadman.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Get justice for my ghost.
I have to possess something else, something more.
So now we're in the basement. The fight's happening, and that's when. This is when we get that crazy grotesque version of the priest that happens.
Yeah, because what happens is in partway through this fight, doesn't the centurion kill the reverend?
Yes,
but they're spirits. It's only the bodies killing the bodies, right? So one of these punk rockers is dead now.
Yeah,
but it ejects the reverend's spirit. And he looks very like
grotesque, like if the Thing. It's very
like the Thing, or like what Gary Oldman turns into in that Lost in Space movie.
Yeah. It's very body horror.
Yeah,
kind of crazy looking. And they're just like, we killed him, and it's like, no,
not really.
That's when suddenly he faces off with the zombie Hugh.
Yes. So this guy sees the zombie, tries to take the body. Deadman's already in there. They fight a little bit, because this reverend is like, this is my church, and like, who the fuck are you, and stuff like that. And then meanwhile, the Iroquois spirit is getting like really aggressive and fighting with the Phantom Stranger, and I think he manages to banish him or something like that. Like he does temporarily defeat the Stranger, or at least subdue him, or knock him elsewhere. And over the course of this book, I'm going maybe slightly out of order, but this Iroquois spirit basically has the idea that he is going to go to hell, raise an army of other spirits.
Yeah.
And bring them all to the realm of the living.
Yeah.
And the centurion is like, that's fucked up. He's like, I'm not into that. And the reverend is just kind of wants to his own sort of bigoted agenda. Like, these spirits are not a team.
No.
They don't like each other. They're constantly working across purposes, but they were just all happen to have been trapped here. We haven't figured out why yet, but we're getting to that point. So, the Iroquois spirit has that sort of mission. Excuse me. The centurion hangs back and is like, well, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And we start maybe delving into the idea that the reason that this shrink has been brought along is that maybe she needs to deal with Deadman.
Yeah.
Something is wrong with Deadman. The Stranger basically says, like, this might be your job now, is to treat him. And she's like, a ghost? A ghost? And he's like, yep.
I love the way that, like, Zombie Hugh, like, moves, too. It's very, like, arms are, like... it's super funny.
Yeah, it's got a real sort of, like, Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah. And I love that the therapist is just like, Deadman, is it?
And they literally start therapy. Deadman is obviously resistant at first, and
he's just like, ooh, I'm a spooky ghost. And she's just like, you need help.
And then he does sort of sit down and he starts talking stuff out, and we start getting into a bit of a story of Deadman's past that is...
I just love that it becomes like therapy for Deadman.
Well, yeah, I mean... And he's talking about his brother Cleveland and things like that. And he, through this therapy, comes to the realization that because he and Cleveland were horseplaying one time, they broke something of their father's, and then the father molested Cleveland. And so he's holding on to that.
Yeah.
And then this connects back to way back from the first issue, those gay bashings that were mentioned of him. That Deadman, because she says, like, you're doing these gay bashings. And he said, I wouldn't do that. So even Deadman is kind of like not aware that he's doing some of these things, which she ends up diagnosing him as, which I think is not the right diagnosis, but she calls him schizophrenic.
Yeah, we should talk to Dr. Travis Langley about that.
I'm pretty sure this is like the 90s pop culture version of schizophrenia where it's multiple personalities.
Yeah.
but she's basically saying even he doesn't know what he's doing, that he's going out and doing these gay bashings because he's
sort
repressing this stuff about, this dissociative stuff about the molestation of his brother and all this kind of shit. It's like insanely sort of dark psychological stuff with a ghost.
Yeah. And also, while this is happening, we go back to the Centurion and Madame Waxahachie
and Phantom
Stranger, and they go into hell.
Who have gone to hell to stop this invasion. And these things are happening concurrently, but what we learn is Phantom Stranger is saying these things are powered by Deadman's hate. Everything that's happening around here is because of his hate. He's corrupted the spirits that have laid dormant here.
Yeah.
So it's not like that Iroquois spirit or the Centurion or anyone was just like waiting there and then Deadman showed up. It's that his hate and his sort of corruption has brought them back.
Totally.
And they say, like, we can only hold this off for so long. Deadman has to do this work, and your friend, the psychiatrist, really needs to get him there.
So they end up having a fight with these, like, all of these crazy demon spirits things.
Very body horror-y, like teeth and jaws and eyes all over the place.
Very The Thing. That's really,
they're
really
cutting these like demon spawn polyps and then like sicking them on the other demons and stuff.
Really fucked up shit.
It's pretty crazy stuff. Well, it's funny too because as they're going down there, the Phantom Stranger turns to Madame Waxahachie and says, like, "What do you have to fight this?" And she's like, "Some Elvis hairs." So she's like going through her purse. She's like, "I got like some beads."
And then we go back to a Deadman and the therapist, who is just the Reverend shows back up, and he's just like, "Did you forget about the Reverend?"
Yeah, and he attacks the therapist. Deadman goes after him, and we haven't dealt with whatever this issue is.
Yeah.
We've discovered what it is, but Deadman is just full of hate. He feels abandoned, betrayed, guilty, all of these things, and it's making the Reverend stronger. He can't beat him until I think the therapist reminds him of Rama.
Yeah.
And then he keeps sort of screaming Ramakrishna's name, and he ends up overpowering the demon, and she says, you're finally, for a bit, not motivated by hate.
Yeah. You're defending me. Like,
yeah, you're defending me. This is motivated by like not romantic love, but motivated by love for Ramakrishna and stuff like that. And he's like, and it does disrupt the demons in hell for a bit. There's a little bit of a back and forth through this fight, though. But ultimately, Phantom Stranger is like, therapist, you did your best. We need to get you out of here. Deadman, deal with your shit.
Yeah.
They do ultimately defeat these demons.
Yeah.
They stop them. Deadman then also recognizes that he needs like actual help.
Yeah.
And he finally gets an audience with Rama.
Which is crazy. Yeah, it's basically just a collection of stars in the middle of space.
Yeah. Ramakrishna says, like, I'm sorry I haven't been communicative, but I'm not going to take responsibility for you fucking up.
Yeah.
But I do believe in second chances, but you need to take responsibility and get help for yourself. And Rama basically prescribes psychological treatment for Deadman.
And they're like, let's go back in time and bring it back when this all started.
Yeah.
And like, let's try this again.
Yeah.
So they go back to the several days later and back with the therapist. And he's still inside Hugh, but he goes, I need your help with my schizophrenia.
No, he's inside someone else.
Was it not?
He's inside a different guy, and he's like, yeah, this guy
it comes up as, it's me, Boston Brand. He says, yeah. He's like, I'm not really Burt Cooper. That's who it is.
Yeah.
He's like,
this guy was just like ripping off a convenience store. He's not going to miss this time.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of talk. I mean, we've sort of skipped over, but there's a lot of talk in this book about even just, you can tell the Deadman's lost his way because even just the morality of him just robbing people of their own lives and autonomy. Because he was just doing it to fuck with people. He wasn't doing it. in service of something good or to help them or anything like that. So when he comes in someone's body, the therapist is like, Boston, like, and he's like, I'm going to walk this guy over to the precinct when we're done here.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a little bit of a turn, getting a little bit more of the old Boston brand in there again.
And the very last page is with Madame Waxahachie like in like a swampy sort of area or whatever, and she's just like, and he's like, "Is I Lucian Corleonis?"
Yeah, it's the Roman centurion.
Yeah, inside of this random dude. Who's just like, I drifted in limbo until a goddess came to me, Ramakrishna, and she says, he's like, yeah, that one. She said she had a job for me to help redress the cosmic imbalance between good and evil. This I am employed.
I like this idea that there isn't just one dead man.
Yeah.
Like Rama didn't one day just be like, I've never done this before, but you were a pretty good trapeze artist, so go back.
Yeah.
But the idea that there are maybe multiple of these sort of avenging spirits in the service of Ramakrishna, it's also a thing I wish this character was still in comics.
Yeah.
I hope someone would bring this one back, this Roman centurion turned alternate dead man.
Mm-hmm.
Madame Waxahachie, I wish was still around because she's badass as hell.
Yeah.
She fights those demons, and at a certain point she's saying like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And Phantom Stranger has these guns, and he's like, these aren't real guns. I'm hurting them philosophically. So it's like, he's just saying it's the idea of belief. That's the only thing we got down here.
Yeah.
So, generally speaking, what do we think about this story? What do we like about it? Let's start with like.
I think the concept is great. I really like what they're trying to say and do. They're taking this character and sort of looking at them more existentially, which I really like. I think that some of the art's really interesting, especially given its time. It's strong in that, and it gets across what it's trying to do with not that many pages.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 2 issues. They're prestige format issues. They're longer than regular comic books, but it's still only a 2-issue story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this close to being like inspired.
Yeah.
Because the idea that in the 90s, maybe we're going to deal with PTSD and heroes.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to deal with these sort of like this psychological trauma. Like, what does it do to like, how do you combat that? Like, what is it to repress those negative emotions? How does it affect the world? Like, there's a lot of interesting philosophical stuff happening in there, but we stop just short of being transcendent by dropping like horrible bigotry just for the sake of doing it. Like, we know this reverend is a bigot. Does he have to drop the N-bomb? No.
Do they have to drop all the other?
Best example of this is like first episode of Watchmen, this new HBO series, opens on a real life race riot, the Tulsa race riot in 1921.
Where like hundreds of people died.
No one drops an N-bomb. But you watch, like, when Tarantino does Django, he goes like, well, we got to make it realistic. It's like, do we?
Yeah.
Like, we know.
We know that's what they call it.
What's more important? Should we want the story? Do we want to just, like, bathe and wallow in the misery of that word? And so I think that's the thing where this book falls down, is that it does a little too much of the latter and not enough of the former.
But this is how people talk. And I'm just like, can we be better than that? Like,
I mean, it's bad enough having that Aunt Jemima thing in there, but we get full on N-bombs.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad enough that we know that Deadman is acting on gay bashing, but we have to throw in like faggot and stuff like that. Like that's, it misses its own point a little bit.
Yeah.
If it hadn't done that, this book is this close to being like, oh my God, ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Like really something. Because that idea of PTSD and heroes is a thing that we're still like, the promise of heroes in crisis. We were like, great, let's talk about it. And then we were like, maybe not like this. But like we still need that. We still haven't gotten there. This is like the early 90s. So it's so close to being something really, really, really special.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the general sort of feel, the artwork.
Yeah, I mean,
the tone, because it's a real like gothic horror story. Basically,
it kind of reminds me of like a colored Walking Dead in a lot of ways. That style, which is nice. It pulls into sort of what the styling. It feels very like disconnected and like it's gothic, and so it does a lot of what I think it's trying to do. Like, like it's a good match for the sort of what the story is. I liked a lot of it. I think that like it's not like my favorite style.
Sure.
And I think that it can come off a little sloppy, and I don't necessarily like. It's all about extremes in this. So like the size they make the Madame Waxahachie, and like it's a lot of like there's representation there, but it also is like a parody in some ways, which I don't really love.
Sure. Well, I mean, even just like look how bulky that one heavy metal guy is, and then like what that heavy metal woman is wearing. It's okay.
It's a little too far.
A little exploitative.
Yeah, and it's like you could say that it's trying to be exploitative, but it's like not in service of that story that much. So it's like it doesn't really is a match for me. Like
I will say
there's a time and place for things, but only when you're addressing that kind of story.
Yeah, I will say that not only do I think does Kelly Jones' art work really well for Deadman, but I think it works really well in this story where Deadman himself is twisted.
Yeah,
like that. The body horror, the grotesque, like all of those sort of like sense. Supernatural things work and I love the art where Deadman is exiting a body and you just see his face coming out of someone's back or something
it's cool.
There's a lot of cool little moments like that I really dig in there. But in general, I kind of wish that this story just an inkling more self-awareness.
Yeah.
Which is maybe too much to ask for the era, but we were so close.
So close.
And other things were being very good at the time, too. Yeah. Kelly Jones was working on Sandman. So it's not like it couldn't have happened.
Yeah, for sure.
How many capes would you give this? / would you recommend this to someone? / are you interested in Deadman?
I would say I'd give this a 2.75.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Just above half.
Yeah.
Like it's 55, 50, 60, something.
I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it. It would be like somebody like who's maybe read stuff and hasn't read that, and like it wouldn't be like a cold like, oh, you haven't read comics? Check this out.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I don't think that, but and it would also be somebody who like I would say. Like I would be like, hey Kyle, have you read this? Maybe, like that's somebody I would send it to, or some of like the fans that we talk to online. But like otherwise, no, it's not like a glowing representation of comics or like this type of storytelling or anything like that. But if you're interested in Deadman, it's a good way to sort of jump into like the depth that he can have, as well as sort of like what are the general tenets of what he does.
Yeah. I mean, if you're picking a Mike Baron, Kelly Jones Deadman story, I'd probably pick the one before this. It's less Halloweeny, which is why I didn't pick it for today. But it's got Madame Waxahachie in it. It's about a haunted circus.
Yeah.
There's some like stuff in there.
It's a little bit more like straightforward. I think this just shows like that the character can have some depth. It's not just like a one-trick pony, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's sort of the extent of it. But if you're like a fan of like Sandman and Swamp Thing, and this can still live in that world, and it feels like it wouldn't be estranged to be in that collection for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Nice. Well. That's it.
That's it for this.
You've done a lot of reading today.
I know. I'm gonna fucking go like put my head in the microwave.
I just thought you were gonna say I'm just gonna sit and stare at the TV for a bit to like counter it.
No. Kill myself. I mean, I'm blaming it on the comics, but like,
you're gonna haunt this house.
Yeah. I know. I wish I like forcing myself to read because I wouldn't read that much on my own because I can fill my time with other things. But it's nice to be able to do that. And I do like I loved Kingdom Come, and I think that it's nice to kind of see the sort of the different art styles and storytellings from like something like going from Kingdom Come to this is so drastically different.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to kind of see how different writers interpret it, like all sort of under the umbrella of DC.
Totally. If you have read this story or other sort of Mike Baron, Kelly Jones work or other Deadman work and stuff that you want to talk to us about any of that, you should hit us up.
on our various social media platforms, such as our Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast,
our Twitter,
at Dr. DC,
our Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast,
our email,
drdcpodcast@gmail.com,
post in our Reddit,
r/Dr_DC.
Of course, you can give us a phone call.
208-917-3238.
That's 208-917-DCEU.
Yeah.
Or, of course, go to our website.
drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
Of course, give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Subscribe to our Patreon.
Yep. The new episode's coming out tomorrow.
Yes,
today is Thursday.
We got some spooky content for you this month.
That's right.
Doctober. That's the other one. All right, that's it for this special.
Happy Halloween,
Doctober.
We're just about to do it again.
Oh, happy Halloween.
Adios.
All right, ciao, ciao.
They always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure. They are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.